I mean, once in a while she'll get a text for no overtime, but that's every few weeks.
Well, yeah, it picks up around October, so hopefully she'll find something else by then.
Yeah.
But I'll send her what I have.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, if worst comes to worst, I'll get a jump every morning for your old Jeep. I'll drive that to work, and she can just take the good Jeep, her Jeep.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't mind me
I'm
asking,
already ready to go.
how much would she start off at there?
It really depends on, because even if she wants, she can go through Manpower and get a job here.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if she's only making like 16 an hour, it's not going to be worth it.
I make 24 an hour.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping to be at least, maybe not up to that, but at least close to that. Because she can type like a motherfucker if that's all she has to do is type.
Well, it's not just typing. It depends on what department she gets in. She could be going into something else, which would be product quality, which would be better because she has a lot of computer experience in a computer-oriented area.
Yeah. But
So,
I just let my boss know last week about how I feel about a raise, so hopefully we'll get an answer to that soon, because my year's coming up in a few weeks.
did you respond to them?
Well, basically, he was telling me how my vacation days and stuff like that's going, and like when I get my first year in, I'll get 3 vacation days. I just got my very first personal day, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago or something. So, but then I was like, hey, that year's coming up and hope to get a bump. Like, yeah, I'll be going up to the big boss and going to bat for you. I was like, yeah, I mean, I was doing some research, boss, and the average pay for my job is substantially higher than what I'm making now. Like, a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, yeah, but that has to do with small businesses and a big business. Like, I understand. But, I mean, for a small business, I've been with small businesses my entire life. What it is, it's an investment on your guys' part. If you think I'm worth it, you'll invest the time and money into it. The good thing about a small business is there's no standards of hourly wages, you know? Like Chewy and Amazon, those places have standards. If you show in for an application, you started a certain job position, they have a standard per hour for that position. But for small businesses, it's basically kind of how they feel, you know? It's like, all right, well, it's up to about this right now. Maybe we can do this amount. And I mean, when I first got hired, I had to negotiate my whole hours per hour. I agreed to start at 16 just to fucking get my feet wet and learn the job, and they agreed, and that was fine. And then that's my 6th month was $1.50. So now the average pay for my job is like 25, 26 bucks an hour in PA. In Texas, it's like 44 bucks an hour. It's fucking crazy. So I'm hoping it's gonna do something, and if my minimum I'm gonna take is 20. If I don't get at least 20 an hour, I'm gonna say, hey, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I'm gonna be looking elsewhere. I'll stick around till I find something, and I'll give you a 2 weeks notice when I do find something. Because I want at least 20. At least 20 will bring me up to like $700-800 a week, you know? That would be very nice, especially because it's so hard for me to get overtime, because we don't get overtime until 45 hours.
Which is bullshit. That doesn't even make sense.
It's bullshit. It really is bullshit. And that's supposed to be for drivers. But because it's a trucking company, we fall under the guidelines for the drivers because it's a trucking company.
So they're going to exploit it.
Yeah.
Which is, again, fucking stupid. Not okay.
It's fucking bullshit. Absolutely. But I'm pretty trained. I'm well. I think I'm halfway decent at what I'm doing now. And I feel comfortable going into Kane, going into Warner, going into any of these big fucking trucking companies and maintaining their trucks and trailers. I would love to get into Pepsi. I want to get into Pepsi trucking.
Why Pepsi?
Only because Pepsi just got 100 free electric tractor trailers. And I believe the future is going to be electric. I just think it's going to be. By the way gas is now,
You're right.
and I want to get a step ahead of the game, getting to know those kinds of vehicles. Because I'm sure they'll have their old fleet, but they will also have the electric vehicles coming in and out. I want to be able to learn both sets. If I can learn the electric vehicles before they become hot, I can be a hot commodity.
Yes,
And
I agree.
then I can basically be a very important person, and I can kind of put a little more oomph to my demands if I demand some more money, or if I want a bump if I think I deserve it. And like I said, I really think electric is going to be happening very shortly, especially with fucking Biden, I guess, now opening up our local reserves, but not for us. He sent it overseas, which is fucking crazy. That
Anyway, you sent it overseas.
he shut down our local reserves when he first jumped into presidency because he's trying to push that electric thing, you know, save the planet, global warming, all this fun shit. So he shut down our local, so we basically been paying more. That's why it's been skyrocketing. This war in Russia isn't helping either, but that's one of the reasons.
Well, I mean, the gas prices are skyrocketing. My friends in the UK, and they're paying $12 a gallon.
Oh yeah. Well,
So,
this Russia thing's making things worse, but our gas was skyrocketing before Russia. It just got worse when Russia happened. But he opened up our locals to kind of appease the American people, but then instead of letting us use our own oil, he's selling it overseas to make the country money. Or I don't know, him money or something. I have no fucking idea, but all I know is, why can't we have that so we can spend a little less? It's our fucking oil. I mean, he shut it down for global warming purposes and then opens it back up and then sells it overseas. And then it doesn't even give us a fucking break. Kind of sucks because gas is hard right now. Gas has become a substantial bill each week. Especially for someone like you who goes so far to and from work. I'm sure the amount of gas you...
Oh, okay, I see what happened. 30 countries, including the U.S., are releasing 60 billion gallons of crude oil into the worldwide economy.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's us and 30 other first world countries are doing the same thing. I think it's going into a worldwide reserve,
Well,
not...
we should be going into our reserve. That's all I'm saying. If it's our oil, I mean, from what I understand, we have the oil and the resources to basically take care of ourselves for the foreseeable future. But we go over to Saudi Arabia and all of them because we have a deal with them in the past because they use their oil in American dollars. So
And we just opened up a new lease using Venezuela in order to boost our economy because...
that's so horrible in
which is
Venezuela.
Actually, well, Venezuela oil is an untapped reserve. Most of the time we will buy oil from overseas, from places from the Middle East, rather than going to someplace that's closer, which is Central and South America.
Yeah,
We're
but...
a lot closer, but we don't normally use oil.
Do you know what we did to Venezuela?
Oh yeah, we fucked it up.
It's been horrible. We destroyed their country. And we basically sided with the oil companies over there. And instead of the people fighting for their freedom, we sided with the oil companies. Which, I mean, I guess it would help us in the long run, but it's fucking their people. They're normal people. We've killed them in millions. It's horrible what happened in Venezuela the last 10 years. It's been disgusting. Yeah. There's this one reporter that he keeps trying to push the whole world to open your eyes to Venezuela. It's a sad set of circumstances over there.
Hopefully this is one step to make it a little better. I don't know, but I'm happy that we're no longer buying it from the Middle East because 4 years ago, the Middle East, we signed something with Saudi Arabia that states will only buy so much oil for them per year, and they refuse to go back on that contract now, which is why one of the big reasons why we are so fucked up with it. We need to go through someone else to guarantee that we're going to have the oil that we need in order to survive. But I think it'd be better if we can move to electric.
Well, see, that's great. Now, the only bad part about electric is we still have to get power from somewhere. I mean,
That's true, and we don't have enough power invested in everything. A lot of places are still using some places nuclear power. But we use
yeah, but
right now we're using a little bit of natural gas, but it's not a lot. Our main source is still coal, I believe. We still have coal mines that are open that are being used.
yeah,
But
but
Pennsylvania pretty much uses dirty fuel. But if you go across our state side, we are seeing more renewable sources coming up, but there are other ways they can do it. They've developed new products to create it
we'll see.
in a way that would work better.
The new products are great, but the people who suffered the most when you transition to a new product and get off the old are poor people. Rich people are going to be fine transitioning, but when the
It
oil,
would be interesting if they can set up programs to train people.
it would be, but
learn
in
how
the
to work on new
meantime,
equipment.
you have poor people paying $10 a gallon for gas in California because we're trying to transition, and the people that are struggling the most are getting the brunt force of it. And I want to be able to move to a renewable resource, but right now the cheapest way is the oil because that's what's been around for the last 60 years. To buy an electric car, that's like $100,000. They're fucking expensive. Electric cars are not cheap,
I know.
but they're expecting people to
I know,
just kind of jump over, and they're barely affording fucking $1,000 used car, let alone $100,000 brand new electric car. It's tough switching over because the people that hurt the most are the people on the lower end of the economic scale, and
Yeah. Which is where we kind of are.
exactly, we're like right on that border.
I am hopefully getting out of that now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
I need to get
all of us, I think, are. Well, I think Star is probably the most out, to be honest with you.
which is weird. So here's what I'm figuring out. Like, I know that I pulled myself out of that lower income bracket. The problem is when they're estimating something, like when say they're like, well, for 3 people, it's only this much. Like when it comes to things like childcare, but what they should be estimating is how many adults per child is in the household. Because if it was 2 adults and 1 child going to daycare, that is completely different than 1 adult paying for 2 children.
Oh yeah. Well, the numbers are always skewed. They're always skewed in some way or fashion because they can't put everybody in a single box, so they have to kind of skew certain people in certain circumstances to fit inside their boxes, so it fits the parameters of what they're doing.